goes to Money in the Bank, and today, on the final day of the CrossFit Games, it's going to be money in somebody's bank. Event 6, heat number 1 for the teams. It starts us off at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. Alongside Andy Sakamoto, a Masters CrossFit Games champion. Lauren Smith is down on the floor. My name is Joel Godet. Glad to have you along with us here at the end of what has been an incomparable week. How did we get here? Well, yesterday, Raw Iron, Mayhem Thunder, and Peak 360 made some moves. Noah Olson's squad out of Miami, Peak 360, had a tough first day of competition, but came through huge. Lena Richter getting through the freestanding handstand push-ups. Peak was the only team to finish that event, and it vaults them into 4th place overall, about 30 points out of the podium. But the story was really Raw Iron, Mayhem, CrossFit, Thunder. They won event 5, smashing the competition in 12 minutes and 10 seconds. Emily DeRoy did all 30 of those dumbbell snatches, and it puts Raw Iron into the leader's position over CrossFit Torian for the first time in this competition. CrossFit Mayhem, the team out of Cookville, all 3 Mayhem affiliates right now are on the podium. Team event number 6 is the Fort Worth Shuffle. Annie, how are we dancing through this?
We've got a 30-foot increment of earthworm lunges, and then there's some gymnastics and some running. So they'll pair off. 2 athletes will do some chest-to-bar pull-ups. 2 athletes will run. They'll switch. They'll come back to the earthworm. They'll lunge it again. This time it's toes-to-bar and running. Again, all 4 athletes will do each of the gymnastics and running increments. Another 30-foot earthworm lunge, this time 15 bar muscle-ups for every member on the team, and they'll finish by lunging that earthworm to the finish line. Time cap 14 minutes.
Our steps to success. You want to push on the run? Why?
Because the gymnastics, at least the first 2 pieces, are definitely going to be short. And so what you don't want to do when you're on the run is have your teammates waiting too long. And then you need to stay in step. There's a lot of lunging that's going to happen. You got to make sure you're in step with your team.
And if you misstep, it's a no rep. The earthworm has to go to the ground. You've got to re-clean it every time.
Exactly.
We only have 20 teams. We did cut to the top 20 here on the final day, so a couple of heats. CrossFit Holistic was on the cut line yesterday. They do get in. They are in lane 1 all the way down to Oslo Pixel in lane 10. But it's 11:24 who's currently in a tie for 10th place. They are in 11th because of that tie. So they are in the middle of the floor here on heat number 1.
Yep, and they had a great event 4 yesterday, another gymnastics event coming up, so they should do well. And then CrossFit Levy's, they are the youngest team competing this weekend, and they are a gymnastics strong team, and that bodes well for them in this event.
A couple of teams made up of regular people, as they would say. Sam Paquin and Jason Hood on that Levy team. Police officers.
Those aren't regular people. Police officers are not regular people.
They're people with normal jobs.
There you go. Okay.
They're not full-time athletes, one would say.
So they all have to use the right side. They have designated which shoulder that earthworm has to be on for these teams. And they're going to start with the right.
They're lunging across the yellow line. That's a 30-foot lunge. And Andy, this is the ultimate team coordination. You talked about needing to count your steps, and you're seeing a little bit of a backup to drop the worm because you don't want to advance it too far. But if you misstep your lunges, you're going to step on heels.
Exactly. And so you saw all of the teams implementing that. They lunge, they step in between the next step.
So out to a short run while your teammate completes 25 chest-to-bar pull-ups. Then you'll do 25 chest-to-bar pull-ups while they run.
And it actually looks like, Joel, this run is short enough that it's going to time well with these chest-to-bar pull-ups.
You can pair yourselves off in any way that you choose. Female, female, male, male.
Right.
You can do different pairs based on the gymnastics movements. And this is all stuff you would have trained and strategized on in the gym.
Yep. most of these teams have probably practiced coordinating all 4 of them doing chest to bar pull-ups at the same time, so doing 2 should not be too hard.
CrossFit Prestanda enters today in 15th place. Let's go down to Lauren with more on that.
Thanks, Joel. I spoke to Alexander Elbro and Victor Langsfeld of that team. They were the top seeds out of the European semi-finals. They are disappointed with their current standing, but mentioned that the events of the weekend are weighing heavy. They all knew and competed against Lazare. What they do know, though, is that as a team, they're united, they're physically feeling very good, and they're hoping for a big final day performance to show what they're capable of.
Lauren, thank you. Prestanda winning the European semifinal, returning to the games last year. Alex Alebro was on that squad that finished 10th in 2023.
CrossFit EXF right there, the first ones back to the rig.
So it's Levy and EXF here. Levy is in the bright yellow, and the riser kicked out of the way to go into the toes to bar. 200-meter run. And then we'll switch on the toes to bar. Roldan Goldbaum is pushing in the orange sneakers for Invictus Unconquerable. And toes to bar is an ultimate midline taxer, is it not, Annie?
It is, and these midlines have already been taxed. Don't forget, they did 90 GHD sit-ups yesterday, so they've got to be feeling that. CrossFit Levy's right there. Second athletes on the toes to bar.
And Sophie Tashru working with Sam Poquin there for Levy. There is EXF as well. One of the 3 Oceanic teams competing. 2 of them are on the podium right now. There has never been an Oceanic team to finish better than 6th at the CrossFit Games. Australia and New Zealand standing up today. And Levy is back out to their 3rd round of the lunges, this time on the right shoulder.
Back to the right shoulder, exactly. And Unconquerable heading to the earthworm again as well.
It's loud in here. You got to be loud if you're communicating.
Yep.
Where do you put your caller, so to speak? Who's saying down in these lunges?
I would imagine it would be your front guy, although
or do you
that
signal?
guy's
Do you
got
put a hand
exactly.
out? Jason Hood at the front is the captain for CrossFit Levy. 99 reps in the bag. They now have 15 bar muscle ups for each athlete, coupled with the run, and then another 30-foot lunging segment.
And this is where I have to assume the runners are going to come in a little quicker than most of these athletes are going to get through the 15 bar muscle ups. So you could even pace a little bit on this 3rd and final run, knowing that you're the next pair to go into the muscle ups.
Levy was 4th in the world as a team in the Open, behind Peak 360, Zorut's Training Culture out of Spain, teams, games competitors last year, and CrossFit Torian. And then they did not qualify initially out of semifinals, made it into the CrossFit Games after a disqualification ahead of them, and their captain, Jason Hood, was at home. He just started getting text messages from friends about the DQ. He hadn't even gotten the invitation yet. It's just, I'm now aware that there's a possibility. He said, I got chills that the team has an opportunity, and they've run with it.
And they are running with it. Their last 2 athletes on the run.
Take a look at Adrienne Perret-Dupuis, who owns an affiliate. 5:44 into a 14-minute time cap event. Time cap is not going to be an issue here for these teams in any way. Let's talk about the bar muscle up a little bit, Annie. Key to doing this efficiently is what?
Using your hips. You got to utilize those hips. The teams have to lock out at the top. You can see them waiting up top.
You might think that's counterintuitive, right? If you're looking at this for the first time, you say that's an arm movement. Where do the hips come in?
the hips come in and gaining that momentum to get yourself on top of the bar. So you start underneath that bar, you've got to pop that hip. The more you can utilize that hip and get yourself on top of the bar, then the less you have to use your arms on the dip portion.
Invictus Unconquerable had kind of been hanging around for a little while, hitting the gas at the end. A strength team. Hannah Black up front, known for that. Roldan Goldbaum, Phil Muscarello, they're across with Emily Rethwell. And that is a heat win for Invictus Unconquerable in 6:48. Levy is across. Remember, Invictus Unconquerable was dead last in the first event in this competition and has surged back since then. CrossFit Holistic at the bottom of your screen. Now backing up their lunges. You've got to start behind the yellow line.
So as soon as the front athlete, whoever the gentleman in front is, as soon as their leg or their foot crosses the line, they can dump the earthworm. But the time chip is on the rear female. So whoever is in the back, that's who has that time chip on. That's when time is given.
And across for Holistic in 7:42. Oslo Pixel with their captain behind Ingrid Kundal.
Number 6 making it across
Ocean State done. Get some lunges on the left side of your screen with EXF and Prestanda. Prestanda is in the lunges, left side. EXF just picked up the earthworm. Reminder, that earthworm is 450 pounds, 4 sections, 100 for the ladies, 125 for the men. Each sandbag section is 2 feet long. As Prestanda finishes, and here comes Moses Patello's Exodus Fitness team, CrossFit EXF. And Overtake Team Density is through the finish line. We still do have a couple of teams out on the floor. And CrossFit 11:24 here. Who's going to run to the lunges?
That's a team we thought would do a little bit better on this, seeing that they're high skill. They did good in the gymnastics event yesterday.
The affiliate is named after Proverbs 11:24, which is a longer proverb, but boils down to you only get what you give. And they have come here and left it all out on the floor. They've come together from 4 different corners of the country training at 11:24. But Tyler Cook lives in Atlanta, Sydney Smith in Birmingham, Alabama, Brooklyn Lander comes from Indiana, and Riley Good in Huntsville, Alabama. They formed a pretty good unit to compete here. Unconquerable, though, comes away with the win in Heat 1.
At 6:48 with 1 heat of competition to go here in event number 6.
So we had a lot of lunging to start this event. All athletes with that earthworm on the right side of their body. Kind of a lot of athletes on that first run. You can see it was about a 200-meter run. Everybody pretty lockstep on that first round with 25 chest to bar pull-ups. But it was Levy's that took the early lead going into the last round, and then Unconquerable able to overtake Levy's on the bar muscle-ups. And it was CrossFit Invictus Unconquerable that took the heat win, 6 minutes and 48 seconds for the team of Hannah Black, Emily Rethwell,